lot has changed since the early 90s. Back then, cell phones were the size of toasters. MTV actually played music, and this outfit was appropriate first date attire. My, how we've grown. But nothing's more different than the dating scene. From social networking sites to shows like Sex and the City, it's hard to tell what's in and what's totally 5 minutes ago. So can you imagine what it's like for someone who's been out of the scene 15 years to just dive back in? Oh, you're bringing Vanilla Ice moves into a Britney world. There is bound to be growing pains. Hey, I'm Michael Somerville, and welcome to Wingman. For those who don't know what a wingman is, I help people make that love connection they couldn't find on their own. Today, we're gonna party like it's 1992. Last time my friend Pierre was looking for a date, rollerblading was the newest rage, and Will Smith was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Needless to say, today's dating scene has left him a little shell-shocked. So it's my job to get him up to speed and back on track. Meet Pierre. He's a 40-year-old former investment banker who lives in Hoboken, New Jersey. Today, he runs his own business from home. Now that some time has passed since his divorce, Pierre feels ready to dive back into the dating pool, but the scene has changed, and he feels a little left behind. In fact, Pierre is so confused by today's woman, he read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, looking for insight.
Having been out of the dating picture for so long, it's sort of like relearning how to ride a bike.
I think a lot of people would have been intimidated by being out of the dating scene for 14 years.
Things happen much quicker now between text messages, cell phones, email.
I work from home, so I don't meet people at work.
He's kind of a lone wolf during the day. The opportunities to meet people aren't as readily available.
I live in Hoboken. It's a very young town.
For Pierre to meet someone of any quality, it's not going to be at a bar in Hoboken.
I'm a typical guy. I don't get women. I don't understand women.
I think what he needs to understand is that women are a lot smarter than when Pierre first started dating.
I'm looking for someone to help me bridge the understanding gap that I think I have.
Sounds like he's ready and willing. He just needs a good wingman.
Hey,
What's up, Pierre?
welcome to Hoboken.
Thanks for having me.
Come on in.
Let's do it. Yeah, I love your place.
Thank you, thank you.
Now you've been out of the game for a little bit. You were married.
Yeah, I got married at an early age. I got married in '93. Dating was a lot simpler then. You could go grab some wings and a beer, and it was okay. It was simple. And I think there was a lot more tiptoeing back when I was dating back in the '90s. There was a lot more finesse to it.
A courting, if you will.
Yes.
A get to know.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, boom, let's get it.
Which is great if that's what you're looking for.
Right.
But
After talking to Pierre, I realized his problem wasn't just not understanding women. It was who he was approaching and how. Times had changed, but Pierre hadn't.
we do live in an instant gratification era,
right,
where everything has to be obtained right away, whether or a cup of coffee. Right. So, I mean, I don't think people want to wait for anything anymore.
I'm just gonna have coffee for now, but thank you. Coming up, I bring in an expert to give Pierre some additional insight into his dating dilemma.
The 3 most effective words you could ever say to a woman.
And later, I observe Pierre in action and begin to discover that there may be other issues at play here.
You do any library work?
This is Pierre, a 40-year-old divorcee who runs a successful business from home in Hoboken, New Jersey. According to Pierre, the dating landscape has changed dramatically in the 17 years he's been out of the game, and he's having a tough time adjusting to today's woman. I brought in an expert to add a little insight. But I want to introduce you to my friend, actually, Deborah Burrell. She's a psychotherapist and specializes in couples. Also studied under Dr. John Gray, author of Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. Thought you could help us gain some insight to your situation.
Hello.
Pierre, nice to meet you.
Pierre read Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, and felt like he got some insights, right? I mean, you felt like you learned a few things from it?
I did. I actually read the book after my divorce, and I felt like it would give me an insight and give me a little bit of an advantage.
You know, in terms of dating advice, what I have found to be the 3 most effective words you could ever say to a woman. You ready?
I am.
You know, it's not here's my credit card. Because that's what you're afraid of. It's tell me more.
Oh boy.
If you could say to her, and fairly straight-faced and hopefully mean it, you gotta practice that. You know, if you could say, well, tell me more, that's interesting. I want to know more about you.
Well, it's interesting. That was actually one of the takeaways from the book. I mean, I learned to become more inquisitive on my dates.
One of the things you talked about, there was a few things women were asking you that maybe kind of put you off a little bit.
Yeah, I find that women, one of the first questions they ask me upon meeting is, what do you do for a living? And I find that to be very offensive because I don't want to be judged by what I do. Rather, I'd like to be judged by who I am.
In my experience, sometimes people are just looking for ways to connect.
Sounds like maybe there's an opportunity for Pierre to deflect or redirect the question if he does get asked. If a woman happens to ask it, let's not cross her off the list necessarily right away, but let's, something like what? I don't know, like, wow, that's what I do for a living. Let me tell you what I like to do for fun. Or
But you have to understand certain basic concepts, you know, and I think women have to understand them too. And that is if they come on too strong, too fast, the guy doesn't build up desire.
Yeah.
And I think something men, sometimes overlook is that women really appreciate a man with a plan. Boom. You're creating a certainty. I've thought about it. I thought you might like this. And that makes the woman feel more special. Okay? Do you have any more dating questions or?
All my relationships have failed, so I'm glad you're here.
Well, you know, I don't know if I'd use the word failed. They just didn't.
They would.
Yeah, I would.
All right, enough talk. It's time to see Pierre in action. To find out where he's coming from, I asked Pierre to take me to some local Hoboken hotspots. Done deal. How you doing, guys? What's going on? Good, cheers. Yeah, thanks.
This is one of the big bars in Hoboken, so I thought it'd be a good place to start.
Very good place. Yeah, good scene. Kind of a young energy. I like it. What kind of women do you meet here?
It tends to be a little bit younger.
Do you feel like maybe you're kind of getting just aged out a bit, and maybe it's getting to be a little too young for you?
I mean, to be honest with you, Michael, most people, when they look at me, don't think that I'm 40.
Right.
So I have a bit of a visual advantage.
Right.
I could be talking to someone, and I think they're in their late 20s, and surprised they're in their early 20s, and all of a sudden
You look young, but
yeah. All of a sudden, I'm trying to gap 18 years, and it's a little tough sometimes.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Brittany.
Brittany.
Booze and Brittany.
Yeah, God bless it. I noticed Pierre had taken an interest in a young lady sitting near us, so I figured this was as good a time as any to see his technique in action. Would you normally, in this situation, would you approach a woman? What would you do?
Well,
say hi,
if I had a friend to approach them with, you know, we could play a little tennis doubles.
I think there is somebody here that's actually officially your wingman. Oh, I think they're running away. Are you leaving?
Did you not go?
Well, why don't you come around this side?
Hey,
Hello.
I'm Pierre. Allie is my buddy Michael.
Hi, Allie, Michael. Nice
Pierre.
to meet you.
Jesse.
Hi, Jesse. How you
Michael.
doing? Good.
Nice glasses. You do any library work?
Oof, if that's his opening line, his problem might be bigger than I thought.
I actually used to work at the library.
Let's talk Dewey Decimals.
My. I assume you live here?
Hoboken's great. Yeah.
Hoboken's great. You seem like a real fan of Hoboken. What's
I
it?
love Hoboken.
Yeah, you love Hoboken. Tell me what about it? Why?
I don't know, it's kind of like College Park too.
Yeah, it's pretty good. College Park too. I like that.
We were talking earlier about how small Hoboken is and how dangerous it is to date someone in Hoboken, because if it doesn't end well, you end up bumping into them.
Depends.
Right?
There's some
What, you've had good
situations-
breakups?
Well, breakups where you end up being like friends afterwards, but
That happens?
sometimes, yeah.
We have to work on your endings, I think.
They end up boiling my rabbit. Fatal Attraction.
It's
Yeah.
old references.
There we go, dating
well.
myself again.
Clearly, Pierre's approach could use some refinement, but more importantly, it's apparent he's outgrown the Hoboken bar scene. In order to find a more suitable woman, we're going to have to take his game to the big league. All right, so that's Hoboken.
Now you feel my pain, huh, Michael?
I do, actually.
Yeah.
She called it College Part 2.
Woo!
That's not good.
That's not for me.
I think we need to bring you to a larger playground.
I agree.
A place where there's more singles of all different ages and a lot more going on than just standing in bars drinking.
I'm with you on this one. What do
I
you
think we need to play a little game called New York City. Why don't I set something up for tomorrow night? Meet me in the city.
Thank you, Michael.
The real city.
See you there.
It's time to take off the training wheels and head into the big city to test Pierre's skills in a more sophisticated atmosphere. Will Pierre be able to up his game enough to impress a mature New York woman?
He just suggested to two women, let's take off our pants.
Hey, I'm Michael Somerville, the Wingman. Love is in the air today in New York City. Let's take a bite out of it. What makes a good wingman?
A good wingman kind of stirs up the pot and then gets out of the way.
Ooh, I like the way you put that. All right.
If she has an ugly friend, you kind of hang out with the ugly friend, you know, and you act like you're really into her. Like, oh, that's interesting, you know.
You take the bullet.
You take a bullet for your friend.